Okay, so I like using these benches for hip thrusts because the standard benches are a little too high. So what you're gonna do?
So what's first of all, what's the hip thrust gonna do for me? Like, what is it gonna work out on my body and all that stuff?
Yeah, so the hip thrust is a compound lift, which means it's working multiple muscles and joints, and it's mostly focused on the glutes. So it's a good mixture of the upper and lower.
So my butt, right?
Booty
gains. Okay.
Yep, and it's a hip extension exercise, so most of the tension will be at the top of the movement when you're in a full lockout. So what you're gonna do is you're gonna be on the bench here.
Okay.
We'll start with
lay down or?
Let me demonstrate.
Okay, yeah, okay. Perfect.
So put the edge of your scapula, the bottom of those shoulder blades on the edge of the bench. I like to dig my elbows in, so I'm going to hold it out. And then start with one leg. So your grounded leg is going to be your working leg. When you're at hip extension, you want your knees at 90 degrees here, and lockout will be at the top. So lift one leg, keep that working leg down. You're gonna come down and then push up through your heel, squeeze, lock out. And then I also like to pull my knee in towards my chest to help me get into that full lockout here.
So you're kind of trying to, are you doing this with your core kind of, or?
Yeah, you can use your core to kind of block out your torso and think about it as one unit moving. There are two different ways to do hip thrust. So one is the scoop method, which is a posterior pelvic tilt. So that's with your rib cage coming down and you're squeezing up. And bringing your head forward keeps your erectors from getting engaged. And so this is a super safe movement for your back. But with a single leg, we're going to do a hinge, which is when we kind of move as one unit to get more range of motion with that one leg. So you're able to bridge up a little bit higher. So look here, bottom of your shoulder blades at the edge of the bench. Pick one leg up, come down, and then come up as one unit, lock out.
Yeah, I'm really scared to do this now. I'm really scared to do it because I just have a feeling that, okay.
Good, and then bring your feet a little closer into you. All right. Actually a little further there. Cool. And then you're going to pick up one leg. Good, and come down and all the way to the top. There you go, push through your heel. Nice. All right, let's do 10 reps.
All right.
2. Good. 3. Squeeze. 4.
Squeeze the butt.
And then pull that knee in towards your chest.
Oh, that's right.
There you
That's
go.
right. That's right.
And pull in. 6. Good.
Ooh, I feel good, man. That's why I wore my Lululemon shirt today. So just in case we're gonna work out.
9.
Ooh, I got this.
10. All right, let's switch sides. A lot of dumbbell.
All right.
Good.
Put this back.
Push
up.
through that grounded heel.
Push through that
And
heel.
walk out, please.
I can feel in my heel
Good.
coming down.
4.
Got it.
5. 6. Nice. Perfect. 7. 8. 9. 10. Great.
Man, I feel good, man. I feel amazing.
You want to add a dumbbell?
Well, you show us how to do it.
You're going to drape it over your hip on the working leg.
All right.
And then same thing.
So this is the one where you put that big bar
Yes.
over there, right?
Right.
Okay.
Barbell.
So what's the difference of this one and the big when you put the big bar in front of you?
So they're both a hip thrust movement. The barbell is just a lot easier for adding more weight.
Okay.
So, for example, my 1 rep max PR for personal record for hip thrust is 455 pounds.
Wow.
So you can really do that with a dumbbell.
Yeah, exactly. So
Yeah.
450 pounds?
Yeah.
So that can't be good for your back though, no? I mean,
Yeah, it's actually a super safe movement and your back isn't engaged very much at all.
No?
So with proper form.
right.
So
See, but I think people screw it up, right? I mean,
Right.
how do people screw that up though? Is it just that they try to, like, instead of utilizing their heels or their butt or whatever, they're like putting too much back into it or something? Is that how people will mess that move up?
Yeah, so if you're not in a good position or if your bench isn't a suitable height, you could overextend and end up hyperextending your back.
Okay.
So that would be one way. So I mean, it's like any movement in squats, you can hurt your back too if you do it wrong, but if you do it safely, totally safe.
How do you know how much weight? Like, because that's what I get confused of sometimes. If I'm just doing doing bench, or I'm doing, I don't know what they're called, but shoulder presses or whatever.
Right.
How do I know what's a good weight?
So, to get good results in the gym, you'll want to utilize progressive overload, which is either increasing weight over time, increasing reps over time, getting a deeper range of motion, just growing.
Okay.
And a good indicator of when it's time to move up weight is when those reps are getting really easy. So it's kind of like, have you ever had times in your life where you're not running very much and then a mile just exhausts you?
Right.
So if you keep practicing that mile over and over, eventually it becomes easier and then you don't get as gassed from it. So then you should probably either run a little faster or run a little longer, so that, because that 1 mile isn't giving you the same as it used to.
Okay.
And it's the same thing with weight. If you're shoulder pressing 20 pounds, it used to be super hard, but you've made progress and it's really easy. Those 10 pounds aren't going to do the same thing for your muscles anymore, so that increased to 15 pounds.
Right.
Yeah, so it's like that with,
But does your body weight have any, does that have anything to do with how we should start our weight?
I think it's a factor.
Because if I'm doing a bench press, I weigh about 140 pounds. So if I'm doing a bench press, should I start with 140? Or should I start with 100? Or should I start with 200? Or what's a good, just a thought. Maybe there's not an answer, but I'm just asking out of curiosity.
Yeah, so strength is very unique amongst everyone. So for example, my friend Kimmy Johnson, she is 5'2", weighs probably 120, 125 pounds. She can bench press 320 pounds.
Wow.
Yeah, so she's amazing. But for me, for example, I'm around the same measurements. I can bench press 115 because it's not a lift that I prioritize growing in as much, and so I'm not as strong there. So for picking weights, I would say you're doing a set of 10 and you want to get some exhaustion from it. Rep 1 is easy, and then as you get towards 7, 8, it gets a little harder. 9 and 10 are pretty hard, and that's when you're pushing it.
Right.
So then if you get to that 10th rep and 10 feels the same as the first rep, you could probably do more weight.
Then you do more weight.
Yeah. Does that make sense?
Totally
Cool.
makes sense. Totally makes sense. All right. What's another little something, knick-knack that we can do? What about squats? How do you, with a barbell or something like that? Is there a certain way?
Do you want to learn different?
Yeah, let's learn how to do a squat.
Okay. Or do you want to do different deadlift variations?
Or do let's do that. Yeah,
Okay.
whatever you think.
So have you ever deadlifted before?
I have not, no.
Okay, so there are different forms.
Okay.
And so usually I'll use a barbell for this, but there's just the RDL, the Romanian deadlift. Your hips are hinging back. Your feet are usually about hip distance apart. You come back here and then you come in. There's also stiff leg, which will have a greater emphasis on your hamstrings and glutes. And so that one you're not hinging quite as much. Instead, it's called a stiff leg, so your legs are a little straighter, and the dumbbell drifts forward more because of this. And so you would hinge back, pull up. There's also a sumo deadlift, so your feet are a little wider apart, toes flared, and this works your hamstrings and glutes still, but also your adductors quads a lot more than the other variations. And then same movement, hinge you back. So there are a lot of different ways to do things and get similar results. Yeah.
Very good. I like it.
So you want to
Let me try. Okay.
So let's try just a Romanian deadlift. So let's do feet shoulder width apart,
Okay.
dumbbells hanging, and think of the weight as just, think of your arms as just hooks hanging onto the weight. They're not shrugging, they're not pulling, they're just holding on.
Just going on.
And then if I had a rope tied around your waist and I was pulling you back in a straight line, that's what the hinge movement would look like. So you want to bend your knees, allow your shins to stay vertical, like you're trying to bump the door closed with your butt, and maintain a neutral spine. And come up, there you go. And come in. Okay, cool. So dumbbells are hanging, hinge back here, bump the door closed, and come up. So you should feel that in your hamstrings. And come up. Nice. All right, and then for stiff leg, similar movement. You're still going to bend your knees, just less.
Okay.
And so still hinge your hips back,
Okay, so this is not bending the legs really.
No, so it's
Yeah.
pretty stiff, but you want your hips to be what drops your body down versus dropping your chest down.
Okay, gotcha. So you
So,
want your hips to drop.
Yeah, so if you think of it in a horizontal line, that also
Yeah.
prevents you from being squatty with it too. To be more vertical.
Is this right? I feel like this is.
Yeah, so feel it until you stretch your hamstrings.
Yeah. It's almost like a stretch too, though.
Yeah, yeah, like a loaded stretch. Good.
Ooh, man. Yeah,
And
that's
then
still.
sumo will be pretty wide stance,
Mhm.
toes flared, but same movement, hinging back. You're gonna feel your quads a little bit more in this one. And come in. So versus a squat where you're squatting down, push those hips back. And come up. Dig through your heels. Just like that.
Yeah, did I do it right?
There you
I
go.
feel like I'm putting my
Good.
butt out so much.
It's perfect.
All right, that's awesome. Very cool. Very
so
cool.
those are your deadlift variations.
Awesome. So who taught you all this stuff? Like, how did you learn the whole process of working out and, like just to know what to do? How did you learn this?
So I grew up in sports. I did ballet, I did gymnastics, I did competitive cheer and softball, and I grew up with 3 boys too.
Oh,
So
really?
sports were a big part of my upbringing.
Brothers then,
Yeah,
huh?
yeah.
Okay, so
Older
older,
I
younger?
have 2 older brothers and one younger brother.
Wow, okay.
And then I got myself in the gym, so I learned through a lot of personal experience and also through education. So I'm certified by National Strength and Conditioning Association and Strong
Okay.
And then my coach is actually a huge researcher in the industry of strength and conditioning and invented the barbell hip thrust actually.
Oh, really?
Yeah, so I just turned 17 yesterday. Yesterday was the anniversary.
So that thing that I was nobody ever did that before? Like before 17 years ago?
Yeah, butts weren't really a thing 17
Really?
years ago.
Really? So you either had a butt or you didn't have a butt. That was kind of the way it was back then?
Well, exercises like squats and deadlifts do work your glutes a lot. There just weren't, there wasn't a movement where people were isolating it as much because those do work so like your deadlifts, your hamstrings are the major mover there.
Okay.
In squats, your quads play the biggest role, and then in hip thrust, it's your glutes that are playing the bigger role there.
Okay.
So it's just a different emphasis.
Yeah. And so how did you get connected with your mentor and what sort of things did you, like, if you could tell me about a couple of takeaways that you had that you really learned from your mentor, what are some of those things?
From him, I've learned things both on the research side and also just being a better coach. So some big takeaways from him are not only learning how to research, but how to do proper research and check who funded the study, who's performing the study, what were the control groups, things like that, and understanding the literature in it too. And then also with being a good coach, being able to connect to my clients and create a safe space for them, because it is very vulnerable being in the gym. You're pouring out your insecurities and working on them. And doing
sticking out your
things
butt a lot,
Yeah,
you
all
know?
these things,
Yeah, exactly.
So many factors. So those are probably the 2 biggest things. I connected with him via Instagram actually.
Really?
And so when he found me on Instagram, he saw that he liked that I was trying to help people. And so he wanted to help me, and then by doing so, I could help more people and help them in different ways. So we connected, and I'm a client of his. So I'm a coach as a coach. That's how much I believe in coaching.
That's good. That's
Yeah. And that's also kind of how I got started too. It gave me the confidence. So what I tried to do with my clients to go out and pursue this career. And so when things started working out, I called him up December 1st of 2020 and was like, hey Brett, I feel like this is right for me, this is where my heart is, this is where my passion is, it's what lights me on fire, but I feel like you can't move forward with one foot stuck in the other door. So I think I'm gonna leave my old life behind and pursue this fitness career. He was like, Savi, I think you're right, and I also think this is for you, so consider me your mentor. Quit my job that day.
Really?
Yeah.
And what job did you have before? What was it?
I was VP of operations for a CPR training center.
Wow. Okay. So you know it's CPR. So if I go down right
I got
now,
you, yes.
you got me. You can bring me back to life.
I'll call the police.
Love
the
it.
ambulance, Yeah.
Love it. And did you ever have you ever had to do CPR on anybody?
I personally have not had to
Okay.
perform CPR.
That's good.
A lot of my employees did. They were all first responders.
Okay.
And then my brother used to be as well. He was in fire for a little bit before joining the Air Force. So it was around me, but thankfully I haven't had to perform CPR myself because that's unadone.
That's good. That's good. That's
Yeah.
good. But you're pretty confident around that kind of environment, or
Yes, actually I did once, but it wasn't a person. It was my dog.
no, you gave CPR to your dog?
Yeah, it was my mom's dog. I get a call in the middle of the night. Oh my God, Buster's dying! Like, you have to get over here right now and say goodbye to him. Cry, Mom, on my way. She lived in Orange at the time, and so I drive over. And he's just an old dog. He was a 12-year-old English bulldog, but she was hysterical as it was happening and as he was coming, kind of exiting his world. And so there was a point where he stopped breathing. She's like, "You have to give him CPR." I was like, "Okay."
And you literally gave
So
him?
I did it. He came back, and so we got some extra time with him that night.
Unbelievable. That's a great
That was
story.
the one time I performed CPR. So I still haven't given CPR to him.
Okay. Well, maybe one day. Maybe one day.
I
Hope not. Hope not. But at least you're
situation.
prepared if it ever happens.
Yeah.
If you like this video and you want to watch another one, click right here. If you want to watch the entire podcast, click right here.